Welcome back to the Deliverance Aftercare Podcast. My name is Dr. Shakita, and it is my hope that you've intentionally begun to spiritually declutter your mind, soul, and spirit through prayer, discipline, and the renewal of your mind. Ephesians 4:23 instructs you to be renewed in the spirit of your mind. So question, what have you been doing to renew your mind? Are you still entertaining the same destructive thoughts? Are you still following the instructions of the wayward? Are you still giving into and submitting to your flesh, impulses, and intrusive thoughts? What's stopping you from having a renewed mind? Be real and honest with yourself and tell your accountability partner as well. I want you to declutter and renew your mind today. Let today be the spring cleaning of your mind, will, and emotions. Be emptied of idle thinking and disconnect from what's unhealthy to you and what's unhealthy for you. Stop overanalyzing, stop projecting, stop with the woe is me pity parties. Become strengthened in your mind by dealing with what you've been avoiding. Let's start addressing some things today. I want you to get to a place where you are living with peace in your mind, soul, and spirit. I want you to have a sound mind. And the way for you to do that is by you letting go of some things that are not within your scope to control nor understand. It's time to truly heal some old wounds. Let go of regret and be released from shame. In today's podcast, I want to talk about forgiveness. Forgiveness is the conscious and intentional decision to give up the right for retribution, vengeance, or negative thoughts towards the offender in order to release resentment, shame, bitterness, anger, and any other negative emotion. You recognize your hurt and pain, and you make the choice to let it go. You go through the voluntary process to change your feelings and attitude regarding an offense and reassert personal power while treating the offender with compassion. Forgiveness is an emotional change that occurs within the person who has been wronged. Forgiveness can occur without ever speaking to the wrongdoer. Forgiveness is not letting the person off the hook by accepting and condoning hurtful behavior. It is possible to forgive the person without minimizing or denying that an offense was committed. Forgiveness is not always a quick process, especially if the offense was serious. Misconceptions surrounding the process of forgiveness may be potentially harmful, especially when abuse is involved. Matthew 20:21-22. Then Peter came to him and asked, Lord, how often should I forgive someone who sins against me? 7 times? No, not 7 times, Jesus replied, but 70 times 7. Ephesians 4:31-32. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. Full deliverance can't occur if you harbor unforgiveness. Mark 11:25 lets us know that you are to first forgive whomever you are holding a grudge against, so that God will forgive you for your sins. If sin is what gave Satan access to oppress you, and if the word has stated to first forgive so that God will forgive you of your sins, which results in dissolving Satan's legal right of access, then you must forgive. And I know that some of you are still held up on the fact that I stated that in forgiveness, you show compassion to your offender. That does not mean that you welcome them back into your safe and vulnerable place. It means that you release them from the anger and the bitterness and the hate that you have towards them by allowing them to fully be redeemed and restored by God. Because your reliving of the offense, your desire to tell any and everybody about how that person has hurt you, has traumatized you, has caused you so much pain, shrinks the space that they can enter into to be fully restored, because every person they encounter will remind them of what you said, will remind them of what you said that they have done to you. So one of the things that I tell my clients and those who participate in the Deliverance Aftercare workshops or small groups and even Deliverance Aftercare sessions is that I instruct them to write 3 types of forgiveness letters. One is for them to forgive themselves. The second is to forgive an offender. And the third is to request forgiveness for something that they have done to another. Because if you sit in a place and choose to not forgive and dwell on the things of old that have occurred to you in the past, you will still have a cluttered spirit, a cluttered mind, and you will be walking in a space where God is not forgiving you because you have not forgiven the person who has offended you, who you continue to have a grudge against. That person can be dead and buried 20 years ago, and you're still holding an offense. Thus, you are living a life where your prayers are not being answered because you won't let it go. Forgive today. Allow your mind to be renewed. Change your perspective and how you view the trauma. Go through therapy. Go through deliverance. This is why we have this podcast, Deliverance Aftercare. Have peace in your mind, soul, and spirit. Let it go. Forgive. I was reading a book a couple of weeks ago entitled Forgive What You Can't Forget. Yes, you can't forget it. And yes, it constantly comes back into your mind. But when it does, you forgive every single time. Live in a place of peace. Live a surrendered life. Live a delivered life. Allow God to use you, to heal you, to flow through you with a repentant and forgiving heart. So, your homework is to answer this question. Who do you need to forgive? And I want you to write their names out, put your name on there. If you have to put God's name on there, put his name on there, and write out your forgiveness letters. Please make sure that you share this podcast and its impact on your life with others. If you have a question about your deliverance journey or would like to sign up for Deliverance Aftercare sessions, you can reach out to me via the information in the description box. The Deliverance and Recovery Workbook is also available for purchase and download in the description box. And there's a specific section in there dedicated for therapy. Until next time, remember that Deliverance Aftercare is self-care.